The 2023 Denver Nuggets punched their ticket to its first ever NBA Finals in convincing fashion. The West supposed to be absolutely wide open this year, maintaining the first seed most of the season, easily looking like the best team in the league, unstoppable offense led by the best player in the game and one of the best postseason bucket getter Jamal Murray, the most unstoppable duo in today's NBA, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, two-man unstoppable pick and roll, while all the media attention, the Lakers this, the Lakers that, LeBron this, LeBron that. Many act like they're the only team in the NBA and got absolutely swept out the conference finals 4-0. Bleacher Report for hours kept tweeting about the Lakers non-stop throughout Game 3 after a masterful road win. Outlets continue to obsess, making people try to talk about the Lakers possibly being the first team to come back down 0-3. Fuck out of here with that nonsense. After Game 1, the Nuggets had a big lead, but after a nice Laker comeback made it tight, many were saying, oh, the Lakers figured them out. And guess what? Jamal freaking Murray fourth quarter outscored both LeBron and AD, having more points than both of them the whole game combined. All the petty Laker fans thinking Rui can guard Jokic and Davis play free safety, they must have forgot every time AD gets an A-type game, always follows with a deep performance, just like the Giannis disrespect before winning the title. Being the most slept on #1 team in years, the false narrative surrounding Jokic, Coach Mike Malone ignited a fire on his guys, knowing the media continues to obsess over Laker talks, Denver somehow being the 1 seed irrelevant in the discussions. Perhaps Malone's emotions became the most impactful coaching job he's ever done, realizing how the mainstream media operates.
You win Game 1 of the playoffs, and all everybody talked about was the Lakers. Let's be honest, that was a national narrative was, hey, the Lakers are fine. They're down 1-0, but they figured something out. No one talked about Nikola just had a historic performance.
Even after a Nuggets Game 2 win, all the talk about how the Lakers come back down 0-2, all the times LeBron's been down 0-2, and you never hear once about the Nuggets winning on First Take or Undisputed, unless it's him winning his MVPs and why he didn't deserve them. Every day for the last decade and a half, it's about LeBron, or the Lakers, then Steph Curry, a little Golden State, rinse, repeat. It's an absolute travesty. How many get blinded and still disrespect Jokic for winning MVP when he's easily better than everyone's current favorite player, the least talked about 2-time MVP? The media is so jealous, even made it about a race issue.
When it comes down to guys winning MVP since 1990, it's only 3 guys that won the MVP that wasn't top 10 in scoring. Do you know who those 3 guys were?
Who were they?
Steve Nash, Jokic, and Dirk Nowitzki. Now, what do those guys have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate. You think about it.
Never in the history of the league has the very best player barely gets talked about, talking heads refusing to change, holding on to old stars with all the respect, still amazing in their 30s, but this ain't 2018 no more. All those negative agendas begging for someone else to win MVP when he had a better season than the previous 2. Many jumped on the Embiid bandwagon ever since Joel had that 47-point monster game, but downplayed the fact that he sat out in Denver. All the talk about how the Nuggets will melt and nobody takes them seriously as the first seed. Only 3 of the 16 ESPN panelists picked Denver against Phoenix, when in reality, if it wasn't for Devin Booker's 34 of 43 shooting combined for 83 after being down 0-2, Denver easily could have swept the Suns and no CP3 wouldn't have made a difference. It's also an absolute travesty when ESPN placed the reporters Heavy Benjamins covering games and even admitting they don't even watch Jokic ball. Absolutely outrageous.
What you saw from Jokic, I mean, you've seen everybody play, Lisa. What's it like covering him, watching him just set up shop?
It's funny though, Susie, like I have never seen him play before. I haven't done a game here in Denver, and I was trying to figure out when. It's been at least 10 years. Maybe I had a game of theirs in the bubble. I think maybe I did. But this is really the first time I've had a chance to watch him play. And I gotta admit, I have been sleeping on this guy. He is spectacular. He is ridiculously good and just unstoppable. Just watching him play last night, I was texting people saying, you know what? This guy is really good. And they're like, we've been trying to tell you that. And I admit, like, hadn't really been paying much attention. I haven't had any games with Denver, either on the road or with them here at home. So I hadn't really paid much attention to him.
Does that surprise anybody? Let's be real. Everybody knows somebody, whether it's your local barber, the 50-year-old playing pickup at the park, or the blue-collar guy you see at the gym, that knows way more about the NBA than actual people who covers the NBA you see on television every day. Anybody who's been covering the league for a long time, ignoring Jokic and the Nuggets, what an utter disgrace the mainstream's become. How can anyone cover ball and barely watch Jokic when he's already a 2-time MVP, 82 games, and zero attention to the #1 team in the West? Even one of the best all-time assist leader and NBA analyst Mark Jackson, the audacity to not vote Jokic top 5 for MVP? Disgusting on all levels. Only casual NBA fans finally understand how great Jokic is. The real ones already knew for years. At this point, anybody who don't have him as a top 5 player simply don't know anything about ball or just pure haters. There's people in ESPN's newsroom asking their so-called expert co-workers, how good is Jokic really? Imagine covering a big conference finals game and you're supposed to be the expert, and it's your first day on the job watching a superstar play who's been in the league for 8 freaking years, and now the outlets in shambles having to acknowledge the greatness of the Denver Nuggets, the closest thing we've seen to the 2014 Spurs, the efficient, unselfish style of basketball. And yet, after the sweep, everybody talks about LeBron considering retirement, making this a huge story. After Jokic ate Ann Davis for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, became a Western Conference winner, the media still acts like sinners, dismissing a generational talent, making shots off balance. It's been over 48 hours, and now all the media talks about Kyrie freaking Irving, his name getting mentioned more than Jokic and Jamal Murray. Still these freaking Laker talks? How about the Denver Nuggets becoming the next dynasty? Nikola on pace to be the best player in the next 5 years? The media is gonna have a nightmare with that one. Obsession talking about the 7th seed losing 10 times more than the 1 seed winning. The lack of creativity, and how some know more about Wembanyama being the consensus #1 pick instead of Jokic possibly being the best player in the world prior to the Lakers series. It seemed like there's more bashing on Jokic from mainstream than praising. The term slow, unathletic, and boring resonated more than dominance, elite passer, and being better than your favorite player. The fact that there's 30 teams and the mainstream covers one team half the time, how the hell have people just finally come out their shelves and watch the best player perform for the first time? Many who say the team's simply boring, completely clueless about the game.
You know, Jokic can win his championship. No one's going to care. Let's just be honest. I'm sorry. He's not going to go from where he is right now to this super mega star because he's not doing anything kids want to see. It's the players, their personality. Jokic is great, but he doesn't have it.
The fact that after Jokic won his first MVP, the league didn't have the Nuggets play that following Christmas Day game only till 2022 when he won a second did the league finally acknowledge his greatness. Also, like the Miami-Boston series, it's not about how great the Heat are playing, but what Boston's doing wrong. Given the fact with many doubters, the franchise earned their first ever playoff sweep, first ever finals appearance, first time beating the Lakers in the postseason, and clinching the #1 seed, talked about even less than the 2015 bootlegged #1 seed Atlanta Hawks, and nobody dares to bring up the fact that Jokic never once in 8 seasons had an all-star or all-NBAer on his team, and he's about to win a championship. For the series, there's more talk about Ann Davis not being good enough and getting outplayed by Jokic, or how LeBron ran out of gas in the 4th rather than Jokic making clutch plays, how many mocked him for being bad on defense. What about the steal on LeBron game 1 when they're up 5, ultimately ended the Lakers' comebacks hopes? A freaking 34, 21, and 14 triple-double stat line. You simply cannot name another player with that type of postseason numbers all your years watching playoff ball. And how about Jamal Murray having one of the best 4th quarters in Game 2 in conference finals history, posting historical series shooting numbers, torching James and Davis with his shot making, and yet everyone mentions Kyrie Irving's name more than Jamal last couple days? An absolute travesty! How about Jokic responding with 15 points 4th quarter Game 3 on 7 shots and the Game 4 closeout 4th quarter? In foul trouble, Karl Anthony Towns would have shit himself those situations, but Jokic continues to maintain his focus, having that one-legged overheaded shuffle jumper, reminding us of how Larry Bird used to do it. Had it been LeBron or Curry making that type of shot, it'd be talked about on multiple 15-minute segments for days, but the mainstream media refuses to discuss how Jokic even lifted his right foot, so it's a 3 instead of a 2. Talk about having genius levels to this game. And what about Jokic go-ahead game winner With under a minute left, absolutely outmuscle Anthony Davis and the smaller Dennis Schroeder. What about the Nuggets franchise perfectly building the right championship contender, drafting the greatest second rounder all time, one of the best players the 2016 class in Jamal Murray, and the what-if back concerns of Michael Porter Jr., who's been tremendous as a role player, crashing the glass and knocking down timely threes, much improved passer as well, the revival of Aaron Gordon, outplaying Anthony Davis for Game 4, championship level starting 3-and-D KCP, and the best bargain in Bruce Brown, the contagious energy of Mike Malone, DeAndre Jordan about to win a ring before CP3, celebrating off the bench, not super team dependent upon throughout the month of June. We'll enjoy a special ride and watch greatness unfold.